know, maybe I can start by introducing myself. I'm pretty sure this is the first time that I'm meeting all of you. First and foremost, congratulations to each and every one of you for making it this far. Being selected in the Data Quality Internship 2022. This is something that is quite an achievement, and I'm happy to meet you for the first time. So my name is Michael. I'm dialing in from a place called Kakuma in Turkana County. I'm Kenyan, and I work at the Open Mapping Hub, Eastern and Southern Africa, which is part of the Humanitarian OpenStreetMap, as the regional digital mapping and GIS manager. I'm not too sure how many are you in the call, but indeed, it would be a very opportune moment to just hear your voices, maybe just by letting me know who you are and where are you dialing in terms of country and town stroke city. I don't know how the round robin is gonna be, but let me just start by, let's use the alphabetical order. So Gorak, you may go.
Hello, myself Goraknath Pandey, and I'm from Nepal. And I'm very happy being selected as the hot TQI intern. And I've already joined for the Honey, but I'm more interested in QGIS, so I'm hovering towards you. I hope I can learn best from you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nepal being represented. That's awesome. Jacqueline, you may go. Jacqueline, are you there with us? Okay. Yeah, yeah. For those who are having problems with the mic, you may just paste where you're dialing in on the chat box. Jen.
Hi, I'm Jen. I'm from South Africa, and it's great to meet you, Michael.
Thank you so much. I can see Karen Wangombe.
Hi, Michael. That's actually the first time someone has said my second name right. So I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. So nice to meet you. Looking forward to learn from you.
Perfect. Maya.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Maya. I'm from Mexico City, and it's nice to meet you.
Awesome. Mexico. Odulana.
Hi everyone, I'm Oluwatoyin Etulano from Nigeria.
Awesome, awesome. I really like the global representation. Is it Kwang Hu? You may go. Okay. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. Yeah, sorry about your microphone. Yeah. Yeah, I see you're from Brazil. Awesome. I'm vouching for you to win the World Cup. Who else? Ralph? And then maybe Kwang can chat, can type on the chat box.
Yes, hi there, Michael. Nice to meet you. Name's Ralph, and I'm in the United Kingdom.
Nice. It's coming home. You're playing with Iran? Sorry, the schedule of this call is, I know, it coincides with your match with Iran. Sorry for that, but I'm
No
happy
problem.
to meet you. Okay. Then Riziki, or is it Rizki?
Hello, Michael. I'm Rizky from Indonesia. And nice to meet you and really excited for this session. Thank you.
Perfect, perfect. Then we have Sandra. Oh yeah, sorry, Sandra. Yeah, I got you on that one. Yeah, from Toluca, Mexico. Yeah, pleasure meeting you. And then we have Shabani. Sorry, I think Shabani might have dropped off from the call. And then lastly, we have Sekitoleko.
Oh, good evening, everyone.
Hello. Okay.
I am Sekitoleko from Uganda, and I'm currently living in Wakiso district. So it's nice to be here.
Pleasure meeting you, Sebo.
That is Sebo.
Yes. I'm not too
Yes.
sure if
Hello,
I've missed out
Michael.
on anyone. Yes, you may go.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Shaban Magawila. I'm from Tanzania. Yeah, nice to be here, and I'm glad to meet you.
Pleasure. Habari gani ndugu yangu?
Nzuri sana.
Pleasure meeting you all. It's always wonderful to just do a round robin where we get to know each other, so that at least we can have a more of a casual session with each other. So for today's session, we're going to learn more about QGIS exports and layouts. So we're going to just take you through how to load some data in QGIS, explore that data, and then again we are going to create some cool maps in QGIS. So Becky, I'm not too sure, should I share my screen from my end, or you can?
You can go ahead and
Okay.
share from your end.
Perfect. So at this particular point in time, allow me to just stop my video, but I'll keep on with the presentation. So before we continue, I would just like to drop in some few data sets that we shall be using for this particular session. So the first data set is the African countries. So where's the chat box? So that's the link where you can get the data set. And then we have health facilities from OSM, and the source is HDX, Humanitarian Data Exchange. So this is basically what I'm going to use for this particular session. I was made aware that you had an initial session with QGIS, and yeah, I just want to, as I share my screen, I will just want to acknowledge how powerful QGIS is. It's one of the most commonly used desktop GIS desktop software. Reason being, it's free, so You can have it at no cost. And then the other reason is that it has so many extensive help documentation available either through books or even online. So through the internet, you can browse and find so many things about QGIS, and then it's free in Liberty. So if you are a developer or if you're an advanced GIS user, you can always come and contribute to QGIS, add some little bit of extra functionalities to it. And then the other thing that I like about QGIS, it's constantly developing, it's constantly evolving. So each and every month, there are people who are really trying to improve existing features in QGIS. And then lastly, it's cross-platform. So whether you're a Linux person, whether you're a Windows person, whether you're a MacBook person, you can always use QGIS. So for this particular session, I'm just going to take you through quickly how to export data on QGIS. But before we go into the nitty-gritties, I will just show you how to load some data on QGIS. So using these two links, I was able to download these data sets in my computer, and I was able to organize them well in my folder. So I usually urge people who are, implementing GIS to be really considerate when it comes to folder management. So it's always important to have at least this folder. So the first one is input, the other one is output folder. Have a QGIS project folder, and have a raw data product, raw data folder. So the raw data, this is where I was able to download all these folders and zip them, and I was able now to dump them in my input folder. So this is where I know I will go and access all my data sets that I would want to import in my QGIS. So I usually like to organize things in three folders. So the first one is vector folder. This is where all my vector data is. And for this particular session, this is where we'll be accessing the health facilities for Malawi, and also the African shape files. Okay, so once I've opened QGIS, and the first thing before I do anything on QGIS is I usually like to upload the OpenStreetMap base map. Okay, so this can only be achieved by you installing a plugin called Quick Map Services. So I already have it pre-installed. So Quick Map Services, then I go to OSM, and then I load the OSM standard base map. The reason being is it somehow gives you a sense of where you'd want to work around in your QGIS interface. So for this particular case, we'll be looking at Africa. So using the OSM standard base map, I'll be able to just align my QGIS map layout where Africa is, and I can easily interact with information from OpenStreetMap. Then the next thing that I'm gonna do is to now load the data sets that I've been able to download and put in my input folder under the vectors folder. So I'll just come to layer, and then I'll say add layer, add vector layer. We'll just be looking at vector layers for today. Maybe later on, if time allows, we can also have a session where we are going to discuss more about raster layer. So yes, then I'm going to locate browse through the folder where I have stored the two datasets, quality internship program, inside inputs, inside vectors, and then the first dataset I would want to load on QGIS is the African shapefile. So there it is. So this vector datasets is in S3 format. As you are aware that vector datasets can come in so many formats. They can be in GeoJSON, they can be in S3 format, they can be in key markup whole language, KML formats, they can be in GPX formats. So for this particular point in time, we are going to use a vector data format that is commonly referred to as the S3 shapefile. So under the all files drop down, I will choose S3 shapefile, and then I'm going to select the S3 shapefile. Then I'm going to open it, and then I'm going to add it on the QGIS layer canvas, just like that. And as you can see in my QGIS, then the entire African region has been covered up by the shapefile. Okay, so feel free to stop me if you want me to give you more clarification. But just so you know, this meeting is being recorded, and you can always go back to this recording. And yeah, so one rule of thumb when you open any when you load any data sets in QGIS, it's very imperative that you explore the data. It's this similar way to data science. When you load in a data frame, let's say containing call records from let's say, or bank statement records, the first thing that people are normally advised to do is to do what you call data exploration. So in GIS, there are many forms in which you can explore your data. So the first thing to do is to open the attribute table. So we want to check, okay, what kind of information is contained in the vector data that I've just loaded. So how do you access the attribute table? So you just click on the layer that you've loaded, and then you right click, and then you open the attribute table. So the attribute table basically contains more information about the vector data that you've opened. And as you can see, this vector data contains information about 59 in total. So how many columns, how many records, how many rows, sorry, it has 59 rows, and each of these row represents something. So let's see what each row defines. So we have 59 records, and then each record has a unique attribute. So for instance, we have the ad board, we have the admin name. So the admin name, for this particular case, probably these are the all the African nations contained in this shapefile. And then we also have other columns such as CIMAC, such as CILS, and yeah, so shortly before joining in this call, I was able to look at the metadata information for this particular data set. And these are abbreviations for economic blocks in Africa. So like, for instance, CEMAC stands for the Economic and Monetary Community of Central Africa. So whenever you have values 1, it means these are countries that are within that economic bloc. And these countries include Cameroon, Central African Republic, Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, and so on and so forth. We also have SADC economic bloc. This is the Southern African Development Community. We also have the IGAD. This is the Intergovernmental Authority on Development. So where you have a numerical value, either 5 or 4 or 1, it means these are the countries that are within SADC. So already we have an idea of what information is available in our first data set. Okay, so the second thing that we're going to do is we're going to load the second data set, which of course we are going to use for some mapping exercises. So similar to what I had done for the first data set, I'm going to load the second data set, which is the navigate to the folder where this data is found, and then I'm going to open Malawi and then add. Okay, and as you can see, we have two forms of vector data sets. We have the African countries, which is in polygon or in area format, and here we have health facilities in Malawi, which is in point form. I'm pretty sure this is something that you are able to learn in your previous QGIS session. So for this particular case, you can see we have so many points, much as the name suggests. Okay, they are in Malawi, but you can see, okay, we'll be able to investigate if indeed all these points are in Malawi. So again, let's try and just open the attributes so that we can have an idea of what kind of information is in this vector data set. So for this particular data sets, we have up to about 417 records, and we also have so many columns. But of relevance here is the name column and amenity. So we seem to be having health facilities by their names and by their amenity types, which of course will come to them later on. So we've done some quick what is it called, exploration, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to see how best we can select some of this information. Okay, so assuming you had a task to select countries that are within the Southern African Development Community, what would be the best way to go about it? Okay, so there are so many ways in QGIS in which you can select features based on their attributes. Okay, so for this particular session, I'm just going to show you quickly how you can do a selection in QGIS. So the first thing is for you to select the vector data set that you'd want to select, and then there are so many ways in which you can do selections in QGIS. The first one is very simple, where just a minute. Sorry. The first thing, sorry, somebody was knocking at my door. So the first thing is you can do a manual selection, where you can just come to you can use the select features by polygon, where you have a pointer, and then you can click select features. So once you've activated this pointer, you can always come to any of the countries that you'd want to select. So let's say I want to select this huge country and I'm not too sure which one is it. Then I'll just click on it and it will be highlighted in yellow. So this is the quickest and fastest way in which you can select any feature on QGIS. And once you've selected it, you can export it as it is based on your selection. So how do you select it? You right click on the feature, click on export, and then click on save selected feature as. Okay, so here we are telling QGIS, I want you to select the feature that I was able to point at. So once you click on save selected feature as, you'll be asked, okay, which format do you want to export this specific feature? So it's usually advisable to just choose the JSON format because it's very simple. And yeah, so you select the feature and then click on the folder where you'd want to select this feature. And then get where your vector folder is, and then I'm going to give it a name. Okay, I know what country this is, so I'll call it DRC, or Democratic Republic of Congo. So let me call it Congo. Congo DRC. Then click on save, and then click OK. So once you've selected it, once you've exported it, it's going to be displayed in your QGIS, as you can see. Okay, so this is Congo DRC. The other way you can select features is by what we call selection by location. Okay, so, and if you want to unselect, you can come here and click deselect features. Okay, let's see. Here you select it, then deselect. Then it will be the select color will be deactivated. As you can see, we have so many health facilities that are in Malawi. So the next, using the select by location tool, I would want us to select health facilities that are within this, the countries that are within these health facilities. So how do I go about it? I'm going to use the select by location tool, which is under vector. So you come to vector, research tools, and then I'm going to select this tool, select by location. So once I've selected it, I would want to instruct QGIS to select from the health facilities. Okay, and I want all the countries where there's an intersection of the health facilities. So I would say I would select intersect, and I can also say, okay, where they also touch. Okay, and then by comparing to the features, so which features do you want to now choose this selection of features from? So I would say I want to select the African countries. Then I'm going to quickly run this query and let's see the kind of results that you're going to get. Okay, then I'll close. Sorry, nothing has worked. Interesting. Let me just do it again. Select by location. I want to select from, yeah, I want to select from the country, and I would want to use the health facilities. Let's see if this works. Yes, So yeah, so it was the reverse. Okay, it was the reverse order. Okay, so you select from the African countries and then you use the features from the health facilities. As you can see, using this select tool, we've been able to select all the countries where we have these health facilities. So much as the name of these points is Malawi Health Facilities, we can already see that we have health facilities that go beyond Malawi. Okay, so from this selection, I would say, let me just save it as it is. So let me export, and then I will also say save selected feature as. We still select the same format, Africa, countries, something like that. Okay, so I'm going to say okay, and all these countries are going to be loaded on my QGIS. Okay, so the next thing would be to find out which are these countries that have been selected. Okay, so I'm still I'm still going to come here and open the attribute table for the selected African countries. And as you can see, these countries that intersected with the health facilities are Malawi, Mozambique, Tanzania, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. Okay. So the other way of exporting selected features is also using the attribute table. Okay. So I had mentioned before that we have countries that are within some economic blocks based on our attribute table. So assuming I would want to select countries that are only within, let's say, the ECOWAS regional block. Okay, so the ECOWAS regional block, ECOWAS stands for Economic Community of West African States. They have values that are, that are 3 in number. Okay, in numerical number. So I'll just come here. Okay, and I will open the attribute table. Then I'm going to use select features using an expression. So this is also a very important tool in QGIS that allows you to select features based on their attributes. Okay, so I'm going to come to fields and values, and then the field that I'm going to use is ECOWAS. Then I'm going to say ECOWAS value number 1. Okay. Let me see. Value number 1. Was it number 3? Let me see if this is gonna work. Okay. Well, ECOWAS value number 3. Then I'm going to say select features. Okay. So as you can see in the attribute table, out of the 59, 15 features have been selected, and probably these are the ECOWAS countries. Okay, so I'm going just to minimize this, and as you can see on QGIS, all the West African countries have been highlighted as yellow. Then I'm going to come here and then click export, save selected feature, and then I'm going to name these countries. Then I'm going to click save. Okay. Let's give it some time. And there you go. Okay. So there you go. Let me uncheck all the other data sets in my layer, in my QGIS layer. So yes, there you are. These are our ECOWAS countries. And if I open the attribute table, you can see we have Benin, Burkina Faso, Gambia, Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, Togo, and so on and so forth. So there are 15 in number. So these are the countries that belong to this economic block. Okay. Do you have any questions from there? Any questions? Okay. So just using the ECOWAS countries, we are going to do further data exploration. So in any GIS data, it's very important to do what we call checking the coordinate reference system, okay, or the projection. This is commonly referred to as the projection. So in GIS, datasets, all datasets are associated with various coordinate reference systems. So this is a very complex topic, but very useful, especially when you're using QGIS. Okay, so we're going to introduce. I'm going to introduce to you two important coordinate reference systems that are commonly used in QGIS. So the first one is the geographical coordinate system. Okay, so in GIS, it's very important to note that data is positioned in a sphere. Okay, so for those flat earthers on this call, sorry, here we are going. I'm going to use the principle that the Earth is round. Okay, which somehow contravenes with the beliefs of flat others that the Earth is flat. That's not the case. Okay, so the most commonly used coordinate reference system in GIS is called the geographical coordinate system. Okay, so how will you tell if your data is in geographical coordinate system? You just right click on it and then click on properties and then go to information. Okay, so when you go to information, you'll have the general information, which will give you the name of your data set, the path, the size, okay, and then the storage type. But then you'll come to coordinate reference system. Okay, so for this particular case, you can see that the ECOWAS countries are in WGS 84. Okay, so WGS 84 is the most commonly used geographical coordinate system. Okay, it allows us to measure distances in degrees. Okay, so this is in a very simple way, in a very simple term, it allows us to read information in form of latitudes and longitudes. Okay, by longitudes I mean the x coordinate, latitude I mean the y coordinates. So latitudes, they run from 0 degrees to 90 degrees, whereas for longitudes they run from negative 80 degrees to positive 80 degrees. A very good example of a latitude is the equator. Okay, so when you go up north, all your latitudes will be in positives. Okay, so from the equator 0 all the way to the North Pole, 90 degrees. Then when you're going down, your latitudes will be in negative values. Okay, same for the longitudes. Okay, so we have the green Greenwich meridian, which sits at 0 degrees longitude. So when you go on the right, yeah, and then when you go on the left, you'll attain negative longitudes. Sorry, it might appear as a very complex science for those who haven't done any mapping science, but yeah, that's the simplest way I could explain it. And the other way is that it's commonly used in GPSs. So if you're using Google Maps, if you're using OSM, and whatever coordinate system that you get for every location, it's usually in WGS 84, which is in geographical coordinate system. Then the other coordinate system that is also being used to project data to transform location on the Earth surface into a planar surface is what we call UTM, or the Universal Transverse Mercator. Okay, so it allows distances to be measured in meters. Okay, and yeah, so that's how, and it's also regionally based. Okay, so I'll send something on the chat box where you can check your UTM zone. So how the world is that each of the world where we have where we live, we are within a specific UTM zone. Okay, so if you'd want to see where your UTM zone is, I've pasted it on the chat. You can easily go to that link and activate your current location, and the Mango map will be able to read your current UTM zone. Okay, so for instance, I'm somewhere in Kenya and I'm in UTM zone 36. Okay, so meaning from the equator, okay, 36 degrees north. Okay, so the difference between this and geographical WGS 84 is that WGS 84 simply gives the same geographical reference system in the entire globe. But for the UTM, Universal Transverse Mercator, it's somehow apportions each of the each of the segments, okay, across the Earth's surface into different UTM zones. Okay, so for instance, where I come from, Kenya, Kenya is covered by 4 UTM zones. So we have UTM zone 36 and 37 north, and then we also have UTM 37 and 36 south. Okay, sorry if this might sound a little bit complicated, but it's very important to understand the two coordinate reference systems, the geographical coordinate system and the projected coordinate system. So for the geographical coordinate system, WGS 84, and for the projected coordinate system, the Universal Transformation Mercator. Okay, so once we've learned about the different coordinate reference systems, okay, it's very important to see which of these two coordinate systems is contained in our spatial datasets. I've already shown you how to. You can open properties. The other way you can do it is by just checking at the bottom right. Okay. So for this particular one, it's saying my data is in EPSG 3857. Okay, which is still in WGS, but it has been projected to Sidomakata. Okay, but let's go to the health facilities for Malawi, and let me open on the properties. When I look at the coordinate reference system, it's still in WGS 84. Okay, so in the interest of time, I'm just going to show you how you can calculate areas based on UTM. Okay, so I was able to export the Congo DRC shapefile, and now the next thing we are going to do is try to estimate the size of DRC in terms of kilometers squared. All these can only be achieved if you convert these data sets, this specific data set from WGS 84, okay, to UTM. So how am I going to achieve this? So I'm going to use the same link here, and I'm going to zoom into DRC Congo. And as you can see, DRC Congo, same as Kenya, is within several UTM zones. But I will choose the UTM zone that covers the majority of Congo. So here I'm stuck between choosing UTM zone 35 and zone 34. I don't know. Let me just, in the interest of time, let me choose zone 35, UTM zone 35. So now I will come to QGIS and change the coordinate reference system to UTM zone 34. So how can this be achieved? I can still come here, click export, and then I'll say save feature as, and then here, instead of now exporting it as WGS 84, I'm going to come here and say I want to change it to UTM zone 34. So I'll just say UTM zone 34. Was it zone 34? South, right? So I'm going to select this UTM. And as you can see on the map, you can see where Congo is. Okay, so once I've selected this projected coordinate system, I'm going now to save export my data set, but giving it an, which is UTM, was it 34? 34 South, okay? And then I'm going to say, okay. And there it is, okay? So much as the projection systems have changed, still the two data sets are overlaying each other. I would be worried if I had given a UTM projection and the two data set, the new data set would not overlay or would not match the former. So now the next thing is for us to calculate the area in terms of kilometers squared. So I'm going to open attribute table, And then I'm going to create a new attribute called area. Okay. And then in QGIS, there are so many predefined expressions that are already existing, that are in existence. So I'm going to use the $ area. So this is what is going to be used in giving us the computing the area. But the area here is in meters, meters squared. So I'm going to divide by 1,000,000 so that we can have it in kilometers squared. Then I'm going to click OK. But let me see, I want it to be in integer. No, yeah. Let me just put it integer and then it will round off to the nearest. Okay. So now you can see we have some results here. And it says Congo has an area of, could this be right? It's almost 2.3 million kilometers squared. Not too sure.
But the
Can
Congo
somebody,
is big. Congo is a very big place, probably.
can that be right?
Hardly, I doubt, but Congo is big. Could be, right?
Congo is big, right? It could
Yeah.
be, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we've been able to see that Congo has an area of about 2 million kilometers squared. Not too sure. Let me confirm if, yeah, the coordinate reference system has changed to UTM zone 34 and the units here are in meters.
Hey,
So yeah.
It's
Hello.
actually true. Google says it's about 2.345 million kilometers. So could be right.
Wow. Wow. So we are right, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the beauty of you now changing the projection from WGS 84 to UTM. So it's like we've put it on a plane surface, and if something is in a plane surface, you can be able to compute areas, as opposed for it being in WGS. And you can see here the units were in coordinates, latitudes and longitudes, and now we've done the projection. It's in meters. Okay, so that's the principle behind you changing the coordinate reference system from WGS 84 to UTM. Okay, so that you can be able to even calculate areas. Okay, so in the interest of time, Becky, I don't know, can we have an extension on the QGIS map plugin?
On my side, it's okay. Is it okay, guys, if we extend a bit for some time? Yes, in the chat.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
So it's okay?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So we're just going to have a very quick deep dive on QGIS layouts, basically map making. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly show you how to create a map. So before making a map, okay, I always advocate people to really look back and factor in two things. Okay, what is the intended purpose of your map? Okay, so purpose, okay, always have it on paper. Before making a map, what is your intended purpose? Secondly, factor in the audience you'd want to, you're having in mind whenever you're making a map, okay? So once you consider these two factors, definitely you'll make a good map. And then lastly, but not least, cartography or the art of map making. You will need some inspiration. I normally take cartography or map making as an art. It's similar to how people make advertisement billboards, okay? Coca-Cola, the big firms such as Coca-Cola, Uber, they invest heavily in making billboards. But in these billboards, they always factor in the purpose. They want to increase their revenues. They want to increase their sales. At the same time, they always have a target audience, okay? So right now we're having World Cup, and you can see Budweiser and other companies are doing lots of advertisements on the TV and on billboards. But as you can see, over the years, the art of making billboards has been changing. They are becoming more and more appealing. They're using a good balance of icons, fonts, graphics, and so on and so forth. So in principle, these are some of the things that we really need to factor in when we're making a map. So I'll just show you a quick way of how we can make a map showing health facilities in Malawi, and we'll be focusing on Lilongwe city. So this is the city of Lilongwe, and we seem to be having a few health facilities in Lilongwe. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly select health facilities that are within the CBD. Okay, so I'm going to use select features by polygon. Then I'm going to draw this polygon and select the few health facilities that are within Lilongwe. Then I'm going to quickly export this, and you go. Okay, so there they are. And then I'm going to do some data exploration. So I can see under amenity, we have clinics, we have dentists, we have pharmacy. Okay, so let me just do something real quick. And using the attribute, the properties, I'm going to do a symbology called categorized, where I would want to categorize my data sets in form of amenities. I'm going to apply, classify, and then apply. So as you can see on my map, I seem to be having clinics, I seem to be having dentists, I seem to be having hospitals, I seem to be having a few pharmacies, okay? Okay, so I would just want to show you how you can make a very quick map of pharmacies, because they're the most for this particular case in Lilongwe. Yeah, pharmacies in Lilongwe. So I'm quickly going to just do a selection using the filter function. So I want to filter in pharmacies in Lilongwe. So I'm just going to come here and then say for amenity, I only want pharmacies. Okay. Or alternatively, let me just do this. I'm going to open the attribute. Then let me just select using expression. So amenity equals, and then where is that? Then let me say select, and then let me export as selected. Okay, so save selected. Then I'm going to say sorry, yeah. So I'm going to uncheck all these data sets. Okay, so if I open the attribute table, I can see we have the name and the pharmacy. Okay, so here I'm just going to come and add unique numbers to each of the pharmacies. So I'm going to open the field calculator, and then I'm going to create an attribute table and assign row numbers. Okay, so unique numbers starting from 1 to the last. Okay, so there we are. So we have number 1, number 2, number 3, up to number 7 because there are 7. And then I'm going to create a new field using the field calculator. I'm going to call it text, and then I'm going to put it as text. And then I'm going to use a very important feature in QGIS called concatenation. So I want to concatenate number, put a space, and then I want to join it with name. Okay, so that I have a field that somehow pastes the number of the health facility with the name. You'll see why. Okay, so right now I have this field, and this is the field that you're going to use to make our map. Okay, this one. Okay, then I'm going to save this. Then before you make a map, it's always important to style your map. So I'm going to open properties, and I'm going to use categorized, and then using the new field, I'm going to click classify. So this is how it's gonna appear on the legend. So it will be 1 Gen X, 2 one-stop pharmacy, number 3 is Mitch Pharmacy, 4, and so on and so forth. Okay, so here, instead of now using symbols, I'm going to use what we call SVG markers. Okay, so I'm going to select SVG marker, and then I'll come to SVG markers that are inbuilt on QGIS, and I'm going to choose anything on health. Yes, I'm going to use health. Okay, so as we all know, okay, health facilities in OSM are usually red in color. Okay, so I'm going to increase this in size. Then I'm going to add another simple marker, and then I'm going to put it underneath, and then I'll put it as white. Then I'm going to increase it in size so that it covers. Okay, and then the outline color, I'm still going to use the same color, field color here. So it's just giving it the same stroke color, and then I'm going to say yes. And then I'm going to paste this symbol to the other symbols, okay? Real quick. Okay, so I'm going to paste these. I'm going to paste these. So it's very important to use SVG symbols whenever you're making maps. Then I'm gonna click apply. Okay, so that's how it's gonna be. But now, instead of now me labeling each of these pharmacies as, you know, pharmacy A, pharmacy B, I'm going now to label those numbers that I've been able to generate. So I'm going to come here and then click labels and then single label. Then I'm going to select the number. Okay, so the number, I would want it to be bold, and then I would want it to be the same color, to be of the same color as the symbol, and then I would want to give it a white buffer. Okay, and then in terms of placement, I would want it to be around the point and to be closer to the point, like that. Okay, so as you can see on the map, instead of giving a label which is, let's say, you know, pharmacy X, I'm going to give it a number. Okay, and then so this is called layer symbol. Pharmacies, there you go. So now, once I've given my layers some styling, I will now go quickly into making a map. So how do you make a map? You click on project, then new print layout, and then you give your name, you give a name to your print layout. So I'm going to say Lilongwe Pharmacies. Okay, and then the print layout is gonna open. Okay, so yeah, so map layouts can be in various forms. They can come in so many paper sizes, depending on how big you want your map to be. So for this particular case, we're just gonna do a quick A4 and landscape. So map, every print layout or artistic piece of work can be in either landscape or portrait form, and it can be in various paper sizes. For this particular case, you're gonna stick with landscape A4. Then how do you add the map on your map canvas? You just say add item, then you draw a rectangle in your map, on your map, and it's going to render. So rendering means it's being loaded on your map canvas. So give it some time, and yeah, drum rolls, it's not gonna take long. Let's see. I think it's because of the base layer for OpenStreetMap. That's why it's taking a lot of time to render. But ideally, it should be okay. What's going on? Let's just give it some time. Strange. Let me go back. Yeah, it's because of this base layer. But anyway, let's see. Yes, there we go. So there is our map canvas. Okay, so yeah, so for every map, there are some elements that need to go into a map. So the first thing is a map title. So let's add a title. So add item, then I'm going to add a label. So I'm going to add a quick map label. So this is pharmacies in Lilongwe. Common practice is don't use the word map in your map title because you already know it's a map. Secondly, don't use italics, don't underline. So make sure you don't do that in your map. So don't do italics, don't add the word map and don't underline. So I'm going to use, and then on phontography, if you're using MS Shell for all your text within your map, make sure you use the same font throughout. So let me just increase it a little bit. Don't make your fonts too big, and it's always good to just line them at the center. So yeah, so I think that's okay. And then I'll say I want to align them at the center. Okay, so the other important element of a map is a map legend. So I'm just going to come and add the legend. So I would want to come here, and then I want to position my legend on the bottom right. So I'm adding the legend. So you can see all the data sets that are in QGIS have been loaded. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to uncheck this auto update, and then I'm going to remove unnecessary data sets that I don't want them to appear in my map legend. So I'm going to remove them, including the OSM base layer. So as you can see, this is what I wanted us to achieve. So instead of now labeling each of these pharmacies as Gen X, we've been able to give them number labels, but on the legend you can see one is associated with the pharmacy name. Okay, so here I'll just come and say these are pharmacies, and that's it. Okay, so I'll put it on the corner. Okay, so even here I can increase the scale, the map scale a little bit so that they can be big. Okay, so let me increase the scale. So I'm zooming in. Yeah, okay, I think that's okay for now. And then I can pan my map to the center. So always ensure that you have a balanced map. Okay, always ensure your map is balanced. Don't skew your map to the left or to the right. Okay, make sure all your contents are in the middle. Okay, so, and then let me just style my legend a little bit. I want the font, subgroup font to be bold. Okay, so I'll say we are still using the same fontography. Pharmacies, also for the contents, make sure we are using the same fontography. It's still MS Shell DLG2. Okay, and then the other thing that we're going to add is the north arrow. So let's say add item, and then I'm going to say add arrow, and I want to add the north arrow underneath here. Oh, sorry, what has happened? Let me undo. Let me add it again. Add north arrow. Sorry, I had selected something else. So I'm going to drop it there. Okay, so the north arrow has been added. And the other thing that we're going to do is we are going to add a scale bar. So let us put it somewhere in the middle. So there we go. So let me just put my map here. Then in order for it to accommodate my scale bar. So there you go. And then we also have our north arrow there. So I would want my title to be at least to balance with the north arrow, so that at least they appear to be on the same margin. Okay. There you go. And then lastly, I'm going to add my data source. So I'm just going to add a label here, and then I say, I'm gonna say data source. This is open street map. I'm not too sure if, have I missed out on any other important map legend? Becky?
The projection.
Oh, the projection.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I can still put another sentence here. So I'll say map projection. I can say WGS 84. And then this one, I can, yeah. And then fonts, I see the font here is, yeah, sorry. The font here is different from the rest. So configure fonts. ABC, no. Yeah, I think it's the same. It's the same. Yeah. So I've put the map source and the map projection. Anything else I've missed out?
I'm seeing in the chat, someone is saying the author.
Or the author. Okay. Very true. Very true. So I can add here and say author. We can say data quality, DSQ 2022, yeah. DQI, sorry. There you go. I want it to align it to be with the same margin as this, or yeah, something like that. So yeah, so once you've styled your map, you've added the legend, you've added the title, the north arrow, the data source, the map projection, the author, and maybe the date. Yeah, maybe we can add the date later on. Yeah, I think it's very important. So I'll have to move this closer here. And then let me just put here. In some cases, you can add a map disclaimer, but it's okay. So let me see. Oops, sorry, what has happened? Yeah, so I can add another label, quick one. I can say date created. When is today? Today is 21st November 2022. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so the next thing is now for us to export the map. So it's always important to export the map in 3 formats: PDF, JPEG, or PNG, but I prefer JPEG, and SVG, and I'll explain why. So how do you export? You export image as, okay, and then choose the export. The minimum export resolution is usually 300 dpi. So save that, okay, and then also export the same as SVG. Reason being, you'd map a notch higher. Maybe you're good at Inkscape or Adobe Illustrator. You can always use the SVG file with vectors and yeah, SVG as map groups. You can always take it to Adobe and style it further so that you can come up with an infographic, same as PDF. So PDF is good for an A4 paper size. Use PDF. If you'd want to use this as um, design software, you can always use SVG. So yeah, so Becky will share with you these maps so that at least you can always refer to. So these are just very basic maps, but I hope you'll be able to, from whatever you've learned in this session, you'll be able to develop better maps than myself. Okay, I think we've come to the end of the session.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Michael, for accepting to come and train us. We are looking forward for our next training. I think that will be Mapbox with you again.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Sorry for going over time. See you on Slack. Or have a good day for those that are ending the day. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.